Everybody in the world wants to interview Doris Day. No, she said it's real. Because her son, Terry, has found a lost record, and she's happy to talk about it.
Doris Day was more than just a Hollywood legend. She was the embodiment of charm, warmth, and resilience. Over decades, she captured hearts on the silver screen and in real life, becoming an icon whose presence was impossible to ignore. But behind the smiles, laughter, and timeless performances, Doris carried stories few ever heard, stories of loss, hardship, and personal struggles she never shared with the world. In her final interview, Doris Day opened up in a way that left everyone who heard her utterly speechless. She spoke candidly about the realities of fame, the sacrifices she made to protect herself and those she loved, and the moments in her life that truly shaped her. For the first time, she revealed intimate details about her personal life, her regrets, and the lessons she had learned along the way. This wasn't a typical celebrity reflection or a glossy Hollywood story. It was raw, heartfelt, and deeply moving, so much so that those present during the interview said they couldn't hold back their tears. Doris's honesty reminded the world that behind every iconic smile, there is a human being with fears, dreams, and emotions that transcend the screen. Her words weren't just a look back at a legendary career, they were a farewell, a revelation, and a deeply emotional gift to the fans and the world who had adored her for decades. Once you hear what Doris revealed in her final moments on camera, you'll understand why her story still touches hearts everywhere. Doris Day's career spanned decades. From her early days as a singer in big bands to her rise as one of Hollywood's most beloved stars. On the surface, she seemed like the perfect image of optimism, grace, and charm, a woman whose smile could light up the screen and whose performances left audiences enchanted. But in her final interview, Doris revealed that the public image she projected was only part of her story. Behind that radiant smile was a woman who had experienced heartbreak, disappointment, and personal struggles that were rarely visible to fans or the media. From the very beginning, Doris's life was shaped by resilience. She spoke about growing up with the weight of responsibility at a young age and how early experiences taught her to be self-reliant and determined. Even as her singing career took off in the late 1930s and early 1940s, she faced the harsh realities of an industry that demanded perfection, often punishing mistakes harshly. Doris described how, as a young woman, she had to navigate a world where fame and opportunity were intertwined with pressures that could be overwhelming. And she learned to balance her ambition with the need to protect herself emotionally. As Hollywood beckoned, Doris quickly became a rising star in both music and film. She shared in her final interview how the transition to acting was daunting at first. Memorizing lines, understanding camera angles, and maintaining the polished persona expected of a leading lady demanded discipline and focus she had to cultivate quickly. Even after her first successes, Doris explained that there was a constant struggle between personal fulfillment and public expectation. She was expected to remain cheerful, charming, and perfect at all times, while privately managing doubts, fears, and insecurities that no one could see. Doris also spoke candidly about the pressures of relationships. She hinted that fame often made personal connections more complicated. The world admired her, yet those closest to her sometimes struggled to see the real woman behind the carefully crafted image. Doris reflected on the isolation that fame could bring, even as it brought admiration and opportunity. She admitted that there were moments when she felt alone in ways the public could never understand, and that maintaining a radiant persona, while managing private pain, became an intricate balancing act. Yet even with these challenges, Doris's spirit remained remarkably resilient. She attributed much of her longevity and happiness to her love of animals, her dedication to advocacy, and her focus on living a life aligned with her values. In her final interview, she emphasized that these passions weren't just hobbies, they were lifelines that kept her grounded amid the relentless demands of Hollywood. She shared that helping others, whether animals or people in need, gave her purpose beyond fame, allowing her to find meaning in every stage of her life. Perhaps most striking in her final reflections was Doris's honesty about regret. She spoke, not with bitterness but with introspection, acknowledging decisions she might have handled differently, relationships that could have been nurtured more carefully, and the moments when she had to choose between personal happiness and professional duty. She described these choices not as failures, but as lessons, life's ways of teaching resilience, compassion, and the importance of staying true to oneself. Even in this deeply personal recounting, Doris's warmth remained unmistakable. Her ability to reflect on challenges with grace and humor shone through. She described her journey not only as a career in entertainment, but as a testament to enduring hope, kindness, and the quiet strength required to navigate life's ups and downs. For the audience watching her final interview, it became clear that the woman behind the smile was not just a star of stage and screen, but a deeply thoughtful, resilient, and empathetic individual who had touched lives far beyond Hollywood. In her final interview, Doris Day opened up about the struggles she had endured, struggles that the public never saw behind the sparkling smiles and charming performances. Despite her fame and success, Doris candidly revealed that her life was far from the perfect Hollywood fairy tale many imagined. She described the emotional toll of balancing a demanding career with personal hardships, including relationships that faltered, betrayals that left lasting scars, and moments of profound loneliness that even stardom could not fill. Doris reflected on the early years of her career when she faced the double-edged sword of being a young woman in show business. Success brought admiration and opportunity, but it also came with relentless scrutiny and expectations. She explained how she often felt trapped between the public persona she was expected to maintain and the private person she truly was. While audiences adored her cheerful, wholesome image, Doris carried anxiety and uncertainty, quietly questioning whether she was living authentically or merely performing for the world. She also spoke about love and loss, revealing how fame complicated her personal life. Doris admitted that relationships were often tested by the pressures of Hollywood, by miscommunications, and by her own dedication to her work and independence. Some partnerships ended painfully, leaving her to navigate heartbreak with little room for recovery in the public eye. Yet, even in sharing these moments, Doris expressed no bitterness. She framed each challenge as a lesson in resilience, a reminder that life's difficulties shaped her strength and her perspective on what truly mattered. Doris went further to describe the challenges of being in the public eye for decades. Every choice, every smile, every misstep was dissected and judged. She reflected on the constant tension between personal freedom and public expectation, acknowledging that it often felt isolating. Even in moments of immense joy and recognition, there were times when Doris longed for simplicity, privacy. There were times when Doris longed for simplicity, privacy, and the quiet comfort of being herself without the glare of cameras. Perhaps most moving was her discussion of aging in an industry that often prizes youth above all else. Doris candidly admitted that growing older in Hollywood came with insecurities she had never expected. She described learning to embrace her experience and wisdom, while acknowledging the pain of watching peers and friends face similar challenges. She expressed a deep appreciation for those who treated her with respect and kindness, valuing her not for her star power, but for the person she had become. Throughout the interview, Doris returned repeatedly to the theme of resilience. She spoke of how she leaned on her love for animals, her advocacy work, and her faith in people to maintain hope and purpose. These passions, she explained, were sources of healing, grounding her amid career pressures and personal losses. She credited them with helping her navigate the loneliness and challenges she faced, allowing her to maintain her warmth and humanity even in difficult times. By the end of this section of the interview, it was clear that Doris Day had lived a life full of both joy and sorrow. Her honesty about the unseen struggles behind her radiant image reminded everyone that fame and talent do not shield a person from hardship. Yet it was also her courage, her resilience, and her unwavering spirit that shone through, offering a powerful lesson in empathy, endurance, and grace. In her final interview, Doris Day spoke with remarkable honesty about fame and the complex role it played in her life. She acknowledged that stardom had brought incredible opportunities, recognition, and joy, but she also revealed the ways it had complicated personal relationships and everyday life. Doris reflected on the fact that public admiration can sometimes be isolating, as people often see only the persona on screen and not the person behind it. She admitted that while she cherished her fans and their devotion, there were moments when she longed for the simplicity of being unknown, for a life where her choices were private and unjudged. Family and personal connections were central to her reflections. Doris shared how maintaining meaningful relationships required careful balance, especially while navigating the demands of Hollywood. She recounted times when career obligations forced her to miss important family moments or strained friendships. These were choices she did not make lightly, and she admitted that they sometimes weighed heavily on her conscience. Yet Doris spoke not with regret but with acceptance, understanding that pursuing her passion and talent inevitably came with sacrifices. She emphasized that every choice had shaped her life and her character, teaching her empathy, patience, and resilience along the way. Doris also revealed a side of herself rarely discussed publicly: her vulnerability. She spoke of moments of self-doubt, fear of failure, and the challenges of being constantly under scrutiny. These emotions, she explained, were tempered by her determination to remain authentic and true to her values. She shared that her career success was never solely about ambition. It was also a testament to perseverance, integrity, and her commitment to bringing joy to others. This perspective gave her strength, even in times of disappointment or personal hardship. Perhaps the most touching part of her interview came when she reflected on her legacy. Doris spoke about the responsibility she felt to use her fame for good, particularly through her advocacy for animals and charitable causes. She described these efforts as deeply fulfilling, offering her purpose beyond the screen. She admitted that the recognition she received for her activism mattered, far more to her than the applause for her films or songs. Through these endeavors, Doris found meaning, connection, and a sense of lasting impact, proof that life's true rewards extend far beyond awards or box office success. Doris also opened up about the emotions that came with aging, an experience she approached with honesty and grace. She acknowledged the bittersweet reality of growing older, witnessing the passage of time and losing friends and loved ones. Yet she emphasized gratitude for the life she had lived and the people she had touched along the way. Even in her later years, Doris radiated warmth and humor, demonstrating that strength and joy can coexist with sorrow and reflection. Throughout the interview, her voice carried a mixture of nostalgia and acceptance. She looked back on her career, her choices, and her life with clarity and compassion. Doris reminded viewers that even someone as seemingly perfect as a Hollywood legend faced moments of doubt, loss, and struggle. But it was precisely her resilience, her kindness, and her unwavering spirit that made her story so powerful. For those watching, her words were a poignant reminder that behind every iconic image is a human being with dreams, fears, and the capacity for extraordinary courage. In the last portion of her final interview, Doris Day spoke with a quiet, heartfelt clarity that left everyone present profoundly moved. She reflected on the life she had lived, the triumphs, the challenges, the laughter, and the heartbreak, and shared her feelings about what truly mattered in the end. Doris emphasized that beyond fame, beyond awards and accolades, it was love, kindness, and meaningful connections that defined her life. For those watching, her words carried the weight of a lifetime, and the sincerity of her emotions was impossible to ignore. Doris recounted memories of her earliest days in Hollywood, speaking not only of the glamour but also of the obstacles she faced as a young woman in a male-dominated industry. She spoke candidly about times she had to fight to protect her integrity, to assert herself in moments where compromise could have been easier. Yet through every challenge, Doris maintained her warmth and her sense of humor. She explained that these experiences shaped not only her career but her perspective on life itself, teaching her the importance of perseverance, honesty, and self-respect. She also touched on the personal losses she had endured, moments that had caused deep sorrow but also profound reflection. Doris described how heartbreak, failed relationships, and the pain of witnessing friends and loved ones pass away had taught her empathy and compassion. She expressed that while these experiences had been painful, they were essential to understanding the human experience. It was precisely this combination of joy and sorrow, she said, that gave her performances their authenticity and her life its richness. Perhaps the most emotional revelation came when Doris spoke about her gratitude. She thanked her fans, her family, and those who had supported her throughout her decades-long career. But more than that, she shared gratitude for the lessons she had learned through hardship and resilience. Doris described these moments as blessings in disguise, shaping her into the woman who could face the end of her life with peace, acceptance, and profound grace. She said that by embracing both joy and suffering, she had been able to find a deeper understanding of life and a sense of fulfillment that fame alone could never provide. Her voice softened as she reflected on what she hoped people would remember about her. Doris wanted to be remembered not just as a screen legend or a singer, but as a human being who lived with integrity, who loved deeply, and who faced life's challenges with courage. She spoke about the importance of kindness, the value of compassion, and the quiet strength that comes from living authentically. She emphasized that these were the true legacies anyone could leave, far more lasting than any award or public recognition. In her final moments on camera, Doris Day's vulnerability and honesty created an atmosphere of intimacy and connection that moved everyone to tears. Those present later recalled the profound impact of her words, describing them as a farewell, a gift, and a final lesson from a woman whose life had inspired millions. She reminded the world that even icons are human, and that the deepest beauty lies not in perfection, but in resilience, kindness, and authenticity. Doris's final interview was not just a reflection on her legendary career, it was a testament to the strength of the human spirit. It revealed the woman behind the glamorous image, the emotions beneath the smiles, and the life lessons she hoped others could carry forward. And as the interview ended, one thing was clear: Doris Day's legacy would endure, not only through her unforgettable performances, but also through the honesty, warmth, and grace she shared in her very last words.